Coming up, new information on the case of Robert Long and the 8 victims he murdered, and how the U.S. is working on sending 4 million vaccine doses to Mexico and Canada. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the National Rundown. I'm Nick Carlson. This past Tuesday, 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long shot and killed 8 victims at 3 massage parlors in Atlanta, Georgia, and nearby Cherokee County. Authorities reported that 6 of those who were murdered were of Asian descent, while 2 were white. 7 of the individuals were female. Long was quoted as telling police that he had a sexual addiction and that these spas were an outlet for him, something that he should not be doing. Cherokee County Sheriff's Captain Jay Baker was quoted as saying at a press conference this past Wednesday that 21-year-old Robert Long was simply having a really bad day when he gunned down and murdered 8 victims. Baker received backlash from social media and those within the criminal justice system. Some police officials told ABC News that they believed Baker was just trying to convey what Long told them. Crimes against Asian Americans have spiked in the last year. 3 people have been arrested for robbing and attacking a 67-year-old Asian American man in San Francisco laundromats. The assault happened February 23rd around 10 p.m. Calvin Burchell, Jason Orozco, and Nolowed Basharas, all 19 years of age, were caught on surveillance video which showed the shocking moment that the trio kicked the man, who appeared to be alone in the laundromat, dragged him from his chair onto the ground, and ran through his pockets, obtaining several hundreds of dollars. The investigation is ongoing. Coming up, Joe Biden and the Southern Border Patrol. Recently, Joe Biden told lawmakers that the situation on the southern border is a difficult situation, but not a crisis.
Was a drug dealer. My oldest brother was a drug dealer.
A reformed gang member turned ordained minister, Abraham Barbary crosses daily from Brownsville, Texas into Matamoros, Mexico, where he opened a Bible school and hip-hop church.
In between the songs, we would, share the good news, share the gospel.
In the last year, this father of 4 helped minister to thousands of migrants living in this makeshift camp near the international border. This was video taken 3 weeks ago outside the camp. And this is what it looks like today. It's been abandoned. Most of the migrants waiting here were allowed to cross into the U.S. to start the asylum process. But nearly 60 were left behind with nowhere to go when the camp was shut down by the Mexican government.
We were just waiting for those 56 asylum seekers to cross the border and close the shelter, because it's just a temporary shelter. But people started coming, into Matamoros, and people who were already here, and they just came, and we just couldn't, say no.
This is actually a church school that has now been converted into a shelter for migrants. Have a lot of people from a lot of different areas. One thing they have in common is they want to be able to have their chance to go into the U.S., ask for asylum. Ivan, ¿su amiga? So she said that's where she sleeps, and her friend Ivana sleeps there.
Schoolrooms are now bedrooms, and this parking lot is now a part-time playground. Everyone is hoping to explain why they deserve a chance at requesting asylum in the United States.
They say it's confusing. They want at least to be able to tell their story to someone in the government, and they're very frustrated because nobody is listening. I mean, their level of desperation is at an all-time high. When it comes to what's happening across the border, the influx of immigrants, is there an end in sight?
I don't think so, at least not for now. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to increase. Because right now, the people in South America, Central America, in south of Mexico. For some reason, they think that the borders are going to be open.
Resources and money are exhausted in Mexico, and the government has little incentive to help the U.S. care for these migrants anymore.
Do you think that the Mexican federal government wants to help these people?
I don't think so. I really honestly think that because of these 3 years of very intense immigration processes and dialogues, I think that the Mexican government is tired of it.
Do you feel like it's your duty to do this?
So as a Christian, to me, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I'm just doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing.
We met a lot of different people while we were in Mexico. Latin Americans, a group of Cubans, also an indigenous group from Chiapas, Mexico, that told us they were fleeing cartel violence. We do understand the administration wants to let more people in to seek asylum, and some of them will actually come through this Hidalgo port of entry, but it is going to be a very slow process. And as you can tell, these people are tired of waiting. Mireya Villarreal, CBS News, Hidalgo, Texas.
Up next, what the U.S. is doing with 4 million COVID vaccines.
Right here, baby. Look. Oma.
Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
As the COVID-19 vaccines become available, you might be asking yourself, should I get it? And if I do, will I be able to go about life without putting my family at risk? You've got questions, and that's normal. The fact is, the vaccines are safe and effective. They're going to save lives. To get the latest on the COVID-19 vaccines, visit getvaccineanswers.org. Because getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. It's up to you.
The U.S. is planning to send 4 million doses of the COVID vaccine to Mexico and Canada. 2.5 million doses go to Mexico and 1.5 go to Canada as a loan. Press Secretary John Psaki said that, quote, "Our first priority remains vaccinating the U.S. population," end quote. A final coroner's report classified Casey Goodson Jr.'s death as a homicide. The 23-year-old died after being shot 5 times in the back by an Ohio sheriff's deputy. Relatives say Goodson was opening his grandmother's door when he was shot multiple times. The 2 men arrested and charged last week for allegedly assaulting Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with bear spray during the January 6th riot now have been indicted by a grand jury on 10 counts. The indictment alleges Julian Catter and George Tanyos planned on discussing the timing of when to use the chemical spray. 3 officers, including Sicknick, were, quote, incapacitated and unable to perform their duties for at least 20 minutes or longer while they recovered from the spray. Charges against Katner and Tanyos include conspiracy to injure officers, assault on federal officers, and civil disorder. No date has been set for their next court appearance in Washington, D.C. Let's turn it over to Christine to see what's going on in the world of entertainment.
Beyoncé made headlines at the 2021 Grammy Awards for all the right reasons. With 28 accolades to her name, she is now the only female singer-songwriter to have achieved this major accomplishment. Another outstanding achievement was Beyoncé's oldest daughter, Blue Ivy, winning a Grammy of her own for Best Music Video for Brown Skin Girl. Blue is now the second youngest Grammy winner in recent history. Canadian actor Elliot Page has become the first transgender male to appear on the cover of Time magazine. Page spoke about his journey to discovering his true identity and not being afraid to show the world who he is. The photo of Page that was taken for the cover was shot by trans photographer Wynn Neal. Neal described this historic moment as being a dream assignment. Gayle King has come forward to share that the interview Oprah conducted with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would have been delayed had Prince Philip's health declined. Prince Philip has been discharged from the hospital after undergoing surgery for a heart condition. King has since spoken with Prince Harry and Markle since the interview aired. The couple shared with King that a conversation between Harry and his family has taken place. However, not much progress has been made in both families coming together.
With many getting COVID vaccines, some are beginning to wonder what cannot do without the vaccine and with the vaccine. Although the Centers for Disease Control states that fully vaccinated people can gather maskless, the CDC recommends you should continue to wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart. The CDC expects these rules to change as more people get the COVID vaccine, but until then, no decisions have been made. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the forecast for the weekend.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
Let's turn it over to Katie to see how sports are thriving during the pandemic.
Many NFL teams are taking full advantage of the free agency period and have built upon strengthening their teams for the upcoming season. Former Chicago Bear Mitch Trubisky signed a one-year deal with the Bills as quarterback Josh Allen's backup. The Las Vegas Raiders recently agreed to a deal with former Alabama running back Kenyon Drake. His deal involves 2 years and $14.5 million. The trade of Carson Wentz to Indianapolis officially went through on Wednesday, and in his introductory press conference and first official appearance as a Colt today, Wentz made it very clear that he put everything he had into his time in Philadelphia. In more Philadelphia sports news, the Eagles are also moving on from a couple of veterans. The team has officially released wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey and defensive tackle Malik Jackson. The move frees up $4 million in cap space. Jeffrey was part of the Eagles' Super Bowl team, while Jackson came over in 2019. Micah Zibanejad recorded a hat trick and finished with 6 points as the Rangers annihilated the Flyers 9-0 at Madison Square Garden last night. New York had an explosive second period, scoring 7 goals in that period alone. Goaltender Alexander Georgiev stopped all 26 shots he faced for New York. The Flyers have 31 points and will look to bounce back as they play the other New York team, the Islanders, tonight at 7. Ben Simmons had a triple-double with 13 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds, but the 76ers fell flat, 109-105 in overtime, to the Bucks at home last night. Tobias Harris scored 19 points, and Danny Green added 18 for Philadelphia. The 76ers fall to 28-13 and will host the Kings on Saturday. In basketball, in college action, the annual March Madness tournament officially kicks off tonight. The first 4 games take place tonight, starting with Texas Southern Tigers taking on Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. Tip-off for the opening game is 5:10. Some local teams are also in the mix for the upcoming tournament. Villanova will take on Winthrop in the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Drexel will battle the top seed of Illinois in the tournament. Back to you.
The number of Americans seeking unemployment benefits rose last week to 770,000, a sign that layoffs remain as high as ever. A total of 4.1 million people are continuing to collect traditional state unemployment benefits, with 18.2 million receiving some form of jobless aid. There is some good news, though, as last month, 379,000 jobs were added, the most since October. This signals a strengthening economy as many who lost their jobs look to get back on their feet. Virginia Group Chairman Richard Branson feels it's time to eradicate the death penalty. A group of 18 business leaders led by British billionaire launched a campaign that they hope will gain enough signatures to put an end to executions. Coming up, a look at the weather forecast.
As the COVID-19 vaccines become available, you might be asking yourself, should I get it? And if I do, will I be able to go about life without putting my family at risk? You've got questions, and that's normal. The fact is, the vaccines are safe and effective. They're going to save lives. To get the latest on the COVID-19 vaccines, visit getvaccineanswers.org, because getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. It's up to you.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Now let's head over to the weather. Today was rainy, but will there be more? Sade is about to let you know what to expect.
Thank you, Nick. A slow-moving rainstorm that brought close to 2,000 tornadoes yesterday across the South and Gulf Coast states is now targeting portions of the New Jersey, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast with a dreary mix of heavy rainfall, damaging winds, and a large hail Thursday night. Cold air behind the storm will turn into rain and into snow for parts of the Mid-Atlantic on Friday as it exits the East Coast later that night. Saturday, we will feel and smell the spring flowers with a sunny day of 54 degrees. And Sunday will be free of rain and a high of 61. That is your weather report. Back to you, Nick.
That's going to wrap up the National Rundown for us. Thank you for tuning in and have a great weekend.